for me personally.
Yeah.
What I was surrounded by was something that shaped me, but you know how some people are just what they know. And I myself wanted to be anything but what I knew. So everything that I've seen inspired me to not be that. So my idea was to be the opposite of what I was surrounded by.
Stand by.
3, 2, 1. The following program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, speaker, and 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania and is now the PFL MMA cage announcer. Oh, yeah! And now she's giving you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes, extraordinary entertainers, and wellness experts. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Hey guys, welcome, Chasing Glory. Lilian Garcia here, and oh my God, it's another day closer, thank goodness, to post-COVID-19. Let's get this sucker out of here. Let's win this war, seriously. We got this, we can do this. Look, things are starting to reopen, which is amazing. Us here in California, we're still under quarantine though. So yeah, I'm going a little nuts, not gonna lie. Quarantine, I'm starting to talk to myself. I'm doing things that I'm like, who the heck are you? But I guess it's expected. Anyways, I pulled this together, guys. I hope that you're doing good wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're getting through this and realizing that this is a new normal. Now, don't let that depress you, okay? Life changes every single day. And I know that a lot of change has happened all at one time, but sometimes you kind of need a big shake so that you can really get things going and the next chapter is even better. And if you heard last week, Heath Slater, that's exactly what he intends to do. For 14 years, he's with the WWE, and he even said it, he was burnt out, taking a lot of things for granted. And now that he was released, he's got a fire in him. He is making chapter 2 and act 2 and the second part of his post-WWE. He said it's going to be even better. He's on fire, and I loved his episode because I really felt like it landed at the right time when all of this is happening and so many people are losing their jobs and so many people are having to pivot. And like I told you, I'm right there with you. I still have Chasing Glory, but there's a lot of things changing for myself as well. But there is huge news that I'm excited about, and that is something that we've been working really, really hard behind the scenes. There's 2 big launches this week. Okay, I'm so excited. All right, if you've seen my social media and also the social media of @ChasingGlory, my social media is @Lilian Garcia. But if you've watched those, you've seen over the weekend some teases out there. Well, it's all going to come to fruition this week. Like I said, 2 big announcements. We're really doing a lot of things here on Chasing Glory to just make it a community where you guys can come and be part of it. My CG squad. That's what this whole thing is all about. If it has shown us this pandemic, we are better and stronger together. So that's what we're going to be doing here on Chasing Glory. All right, so from Heath Slater, I wanted to bring you somebody that's actually coming into the WWE. He's at NXT. He is climbing the ladder, and he is awesome. Keith Lee. Wow. Incredible interview. A lot of things that you haven't known about Keith Lee. And we have a surprise at the end of the show. A certain someone joins the interview. It was pretty amazing that I got this to happen because this particular person, not gonna say who and give it away, is not very tech savvy. But I kept persisting. I was not going to give up. So, made it happen. It's really, really cool. and Keith was super surprised, so you gotta make sure you hang out for that. All right, so remember, you can watch the show as well as listen to it. So if you're listening to it, that is awesome. You can go back and watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. Okay, guys, let's do it. Here is Keith Lee's journey of chasing glory. Born and raised in the great state of Texas, it's no wonder why Keith Lee has become a larger-than-life superstar. Using his size to his advantage, he was a redshirt defense lineman for Texas A&M University, but would end up quitting the football team to pursue a childhood dream. With the help of his grandmother, Keith's interest in pro wrestling would begin at the age of 5 and would stick with him while he was growing up. He began training with legend killer Tim Brooks just outside of Dallas, and it wasn't long before he got his first WWE tryout. Although WWE told him no in 2008 and 2011, Keith would continue to hone his craft in the Texas independent scene. After polishing his skills for a couple more years, when the Performance Center opened up in 2013, Keith was part of the first tryout group at the PC. Even though he received another no, it was the advice from Dusty Rhodes and William Regal that truly lit a fire under him, and he would start making a bigger name for himself all over the country and eventually the world. He would begin making appearances in Ring of Honor, Evolve, and PWG, and later travel overseas on a regular basis. Keith became known for being able to do things that guys his size should not be able to do. After traveling the globe and consistently dazzling the audience, Keith Lee finally signed a contract with the WWE and would begin wrestling for NXT. After a year of off and on appearances on NXT TV, Keith's career would begin to ascend when, alongside fellow NXT superstars, they invaded SmackDown Live in preparation for brand supremacy at Survivor Series. Although he ended up on the losing side, it was Keith Lee that was the shining star of the event after coming within inches of winning the match for NXT. Just weeks after winning NXT's Breakout Star of the Year for 2019, Keith defeated Roderick Strong to win the NXT North American Championship and has since defended the title in fantastic fashion. In addition to his unique talent in the ring, Keith Lee would make his film debut in The Main Event, which was just released on Netflix, and he continues to be the bright spot on NXT on a weekly basis. Get fired up, as it's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Keith Lee. All right, Keith Lee is in the house. Welcome to Chasing Glory.
Well, thank you for having me. Greetings and salutations.
Ah, it's so great to have you. Or shall I say, smooth operator. Welcome to Chasing Glory.
Indeed. Smoothly, if you will.
Oh my God, I saw you on Main Event in the movie. It was awesome. Dude, you were so good in that. You got to tell me what that was like for you to be the smooth operator. And for anybody out there that hasn't seen the movie, you can catch it on Netflix. Main Event, it is so adorable. And it just looked like it was a lot of fun.
To say the least. It was, for lack of better words, magical.
Yeah.
My first time in a feature film, to be honest. And no one seemed to believe me for some odd reason, but I had an absolute blast. So much fun. And you could say it unlocked maybe another passion of mine. Because I enjoyed myself.
I have to say, I didn't know that you had that amazing singing voice. Dude! I mean, come on. I've been singing since I was 5 years old. I can pick up a singer. And when you started singing, I'm like, oh, melt.
So I'm not a trained singer. I've never been in a choir or anything of that sort. I do enjoy it. But let me just say, the voice that you hear from here has nothing on what you're capable of doing.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Dude, I was so impressed. How long have you been singing?
My goodness. I have loved music ever since I was a child. I've loved music for as long as I've loved professional wrestling. So single-digit ages probably 5-ish.
Wow. Did you ever think about pursuing that?
It has crossed my mind, but I think my passions, I have a passion for music. It just doesn't stand up to what I do currently.
Okay.
I have a great interest in it, and I'd love to get into it, but I just, it seems like it's a rough industry to get into.
But that's it. It's another whole profession. It's another whole thing. It's another book of worms and whatever. But it is something that you have to know what it is in your soul and in your mind. Like, you can love singing, but here's the thing. It's like with wrestling, I've seen it. People that go after wrestling, they're prepared to go into that grind and all of the thing about singing is that a lot of times it's a little harder in the sense that you're alone a lot of the time. At least that's how I have felt.
Mm-hmm.
Not being in a band. It's kind of a lonely career in a way, which has been harder for me to also be. I love singing, but then to have the full passion to make it 100% a career, that's the thing that I battled with. Where, as in wrestling, you can be, at NXT in any kind of capacity. You can be in an arena or a performance center where you're vibing off others and working out matches. So if you love to do that, it's I don't know, it's easier if you understand what I'm talking about.
For sure.
Yeah. So with you and wrestling, oh my God, I just can't wait to dive into your story, because hearing just a little bit that I have from when I first heard about you, and then when I saw the little piece that NXT did right before or during NXT, which was so awesome, I was like, man, I can't wait to dive into this. You started at 5 years old, loving wrestling because of your grandmother.
Correct.
Yeah. So is she still around or not?
She actually passed away when I was 12 years old.
Oh, when you were 12. Wow. Okay. So that's young for you to be, at 5 years old. And then all of a sudden at 12, you're losing her, but she instilled that much passion in those 7 years where you end up choosing this as a career.
You could say it was ingrained, or maybe that was my inheritance from her. I am unsure, but it's definitely something that stuck with me even once she left.
So talk to me about that. What was it about watching that at such a young age? What was it about wrestling that really got into your soul?
Well, for the person that really inspired me at a very young age was Macho Man, and it was kind of the charisma and the strength and the versatility that he instilled coming off the top rope, and just his entire demeanor was so different, unique, and it's something that stuck with me pretty heavily. But more than that, even for me, I think it was her passion and excitement when pro wrestling was happening. The way that she would bounce in her bed or kick her feet or clap her hands or yell at the TV, any of those things I could see her doing, and it's something that excited me because it excited her. A transfer of emotions, if you will.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's wild. No, I was going to say that you and Bailey share something so common. I don't know if you knew that Bailey is all about the Macho Man, which is why she even does the move for her ending all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that? Have you guys talked about it?
So I haven't talked to her about it, but I have heard from other people that it's something that we have in common for those few that know this little bit about me. So it's something I admire about her, just knowing that she's so into him as well.
Yeah. It's wild because for me, growing up, I didn't aspire to be a wrestler, and I sure as hell didn't know I was going to be an announcer. I mean, that's just crazy, right? But I did watch it with my dad, and he took me to the Township Auditorium, and I got to see Andre the Giant and Ric Flair. So I get that connection that you make with past wrestlers and not forgetting those moments. But then for you to go into have Texas A&M playing football, talk to me about that, and then saying, nope, wrestling is still what I want.
So football was such a major thing for me, and I love it. I really do. There's a lot of struggles, especially when you play in the trenches like a defensive lineman, like I was. And I enjoy that struggle, just like I enjoy the competition and the fight of professional wrestling. And I think that even within that first year, it's just like I loved what I was doing, but I wondered what it would be like to do the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that wonder would grow and grow and grow and call and call and call. And before that year was even out, I said, I have to go do this. Yes, I'll start from the bottom. Yes, I am foregoing some ridiculous opportunities. I had interest from 3 or 4 different teams from the NFL at that time, and there was opportunity there, but that wasn't the opportunity that I wanted. And so I made a decision, and I stuck to my guns. That's how that came about.
But I heard that your dad was very upset. Was your mom also upset with you?
So my mother has always been supportive of me in terms of my decisions. She thought it was odd that I would forego such opportunities, but she did not pass judgment upon me for it. My father is a businessman, and so when it comes to that decision, it didn't make sense to him. It wasn't logical. And granted, he's right. There was no logic behind it from his point of view. Mm-hmm. For me, it was on the inside, and it was just my personal want, my own goal, and that's what caused it.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of people, though, when a parent or both parents are very adamantly against something or passing judgment or just not understanding it, it becomes a detriment to continue to want to go ahead and pursue that.
Of course.
How were you able to say, nope, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do?
I faced said detriment head on. I didn't have a choice. I had started pretty early, and I had maybe a year or 2 under my belt. And I had an opportunity to work an event that Mick Foley just happened to be on in San Antonio, Texas. And I was not supposed to go. My father did not like the idea. He had just given me a car.
Oh, wow.
Given me a car. Let's go ahead and highlight that part.
What does that mean? Because I mean, I heard that you said that you took your own car. So I'm like, how do you take your own car?
So he had given me this car so that I could get back and forth to work, you know?
Okay.
And I was using it for also local events. And this was a 5-ish hour drive to get there. And he was not okay with me taking the car there to go do this event because it was wrestling, obviously.
Right.
Financially, that grind didn't make sense to him as a businessman. Makes sense. But for what you have to do when you're on the independence to make this work, I felt that was something I needed to do. It would be bad professionally for me to agree to do an event and then not show up. And that's just how I function in terms of business.
Great.
If I say I'm going to do something, then I need to do it. Yeah. And so we had a difference of opinion, and I chose to take my car and take my butt 5 hours to San Antonio. And
without him knowing?
I got up early that morning and disappeared.
Wow. Okay.
Kids, listen to your parents.
Why do you say that? Because it seems like that was a great decision for you.
Yes and no, right? So, as you mentioned, there's detriments to this type of behavior or decision making. It can work, but you need to still yourself mentally. It's going to take a certain mental fortitude because, for me personally, that ended with me being kicked out and then homeless for a little bit. And I had to figure it out. I had to find my own way.
Yeah.
And while figuring it out and while finding my own way, I also had to find a way to make it to my events because I didn't want to miss anything I had committed to.
Mm-hmm.
I also had to figure out how I was going to live and everything else that comes along with that. So it creates some difficulty.
Yeah. Well, can you elaborate? How did you do it? I mean, here you are homeless. Where did you go? How did you get to those places? Like, there might be somebody out there that is facing this exact scenario.
So I am a firm believer everyone is different. Everybody's scenario is different. But for me personally, I spent a few weeks with my mother.
Okay.
That in itself was a trying scenario because her husband is one of those guys that are slightly questionable when it comes to dealing with another person's children.
Yeah.
So he didn't like the idea of me staying there.
Got it. And you were how old at this time?
Gosh, it was maybe 20.
20. Okay. Yeah.
So I stayed there for a little bit, and then I got myself together, and I decided to, this is where I learned something else about myself. I decided to take on a roommate, 2 roommates actually, with one of my current best friends who I have known since I was a sophomore in high school, and a friend of his. And this was in Houston, Texas. So I packed up the little bit of things that I had.
Yeah.
And I moved to Houston, and I stayed.
So you kept the car the whole time? You had that car?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
I eventually just gave it back and bought another car because of the complications that it created in terms of this was a car that he gave me, and it was an issue that I made that decision, right?
Right.
And so for my own clairvoyance, not clairvoyance, my own conscience, I decided that I should get another car and make my own way, essentially.
Yeah, in a way, there's no, it kind of like takes that tie that he had, like the strings, the trying to pull you back, making you feel guilty for it, all that kind of stuff. So I can totally see why you did that, but I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision.
I would say that none of my decisions have been particularly easy because getting kicked out of the house and everything else made it that much more difficult, especially when I don't know if you know how independents work, but there's not a lot of money to be made on those unless you're a name. And of course, a couple years in, I am not anything else.
Right. I mean, I'm hearing, from what I'm hearing, because obviously I've never been on the independent scene, but from what I'm hearing, it's like, it can be $50 at a show.
Yeah. And in Texas, you're doing something big if you're making that.
Holy cow. And that just pays for a little bit of food that night and your gas. So you are doing it for the passion, for sure.
Yeah, it's a grind. So I had roommates for a year, and that's when I learned that I do not like roommates. I love my buddy, Lascelles, if you're watching. I love you, but I'll never room with you again.
What is it that you don't like?
I'm just a very much a personal space person. I like quiet time. I like being able to play my music as loud as I want it and sing loudly if I feel like it at whatever time of the morning. And I like the freedom to wear clothes or not wear clothes if I so choose to.
Be the smooth operator in your own pace.
These are important things. I need freedom.
I see that. Okay. Love it.
Yeah. So, I stayed with those guys until eventually I moved back to Dallas and I got my own place in Arlington.
How were you able to do that? If you're making like, $50 or less in these independents, how were you able to get your own place?
Oh, when it came down to it, I ended up looking for a job there. Once I landed one, I made the move. It's not any great money, but I could take care of myself.
Yeah. What job? What were you doing?
So I did basically inventory control. I was a numbers guy. I'm really good with numbers, so I handled a lot of warehouse numbers for the place was called Fruit of the Earth.
Okay.
Which made products there in Texas, and I don't know how big they are at this point, but there was a lot of freedom because it was just a Monday through Friday job with an occasional Saturday, so it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like I was a very busy professional wrestler or anything.
Right.
And that made it easier for me to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that afforded me the freedom to, get a place and just take care of myself for a while and grind it out.
Yeah. The numbers guy, do you get that from your dad?
I don't know because he does. For me, I'm a very strange case in my family because I have basically every credit card I have memorized, every number I have. Usually if I look at a number, I memorize it right then and there, if I don't even without thinking about it. So I don't think that he can do that. My mother certainly does not like math. He is certainly better at math than her, but when it comes to just memorization and things of that sort, that's my own special power, if you will.
Yeah. No, I get that because if I see a number, I can see it written in that's the only reason I even got through my very first day on the job without any training. And then they told me 20 minutes before going live, no cue cards. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, good luck.
Well, right. But I could see something and I could actually memorize it and see it in do you see it written in your head? Because I can see it written in.
Actually, no. I don't know what it is. I can't really describe it. Like, I look at a number and then I can just run it back. And if I run it back, then I have it memorized. I don't understand it at all. It's very strange.
Yeah, I think it's with, they call it photographic memory because you can see something and then memorize it. For me, it's funny because I have one of my cards memorized and my husband's always like, how do you do that? You're taking it to another level, memorizing all your cards, you little overachiever. Damn, just when I thought I was doing okay. Now when we get out of this, I'm going to go get my credit cards and I'm going to freaking memorize all my cards.
Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know why it's the case.
I have my frequent flyers memorized. I know that. Yeah. Okay. So I have all my frequent flyers memorized. I have my Hertz rental car memorized. Yeah, but I've never tried to memorize all my credit cards. That's a new one.
Yeah. TSA pre-check. It just happens. It's really weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a gift. That's something I think it just maybe genetically happens because I don't know anybody else in my family that has that as well. So
sure, yeah.
I don't get it. All right. So now you're working. I always love to find out about what other people have done in their jobs because hell, I used to sell vacuum cleaners door to door.
Oh yeah.
There you go. You got to do what you got to do in life, man, to get ahead and you have a dream. So when was it that, because you're still wrestling, when was it that you're making the transition from having that full-time job and wrestling on the side to it turning the other way where wrestling's a little bit more full-time?
Maybe 2015.
So it was a while.
Yeah.
So before you take me to 2015, let me take you to 2009. Because in doing all my research, I realized that you were a security guard in this whole angle with Triple H, Vince and Shane McMahon, right? And then Randy Orton, was it Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I was there. And I didn't know you were in the ring as the security guard. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so 2008, and he'll never take credit for this, but I always make sure I mention him because I'm so grateful. But a gentleman by the name of Lance Hoyt or Lance Archer Vance Archer, I believe he was at WWE.
Okay.
Was somebody that mentioned me backstage for some extra work. And that got me my first extra work, which led to my first tryout, which was in 2008. And from there on, they just used me whenever they came around Texas. That particular day was interesting. So I was obviously chosen because I was one of the few that actually looked like I could be a security guy.
Yeah.
And as that occurred, and I really think that I may have gotten a joke played on me.
Oh, really?
Vince looked very confused when he came out because someone told me it'll be great if you go down as soon as Vince hits you. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm going to make him like really proud. And lo and behold, they come out. Vince jaws me, bang, right in the mouth. I go down. He just looks confused and then looks and starts beating up somebody else.
What was supposed to happen?
They were just getting beat up, basically. And I guess me going down surprised them because I was the biggest one there.
Oh, my gosh.
So all these guys are getting beat up. I eventually stand up. Triple H has me in a grip. Vince is taking body shots on me. Shane comes over, tries to grab my head, but he thumbs me right in the eye. So now I can't see anything.
Oh, no.
And then Triple H just takes me and runs me right into the barricade. I can't see what's happening. I just know things are happening. I run into some metal, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm just going to fall down now. I can't see anything. My ribs hurt.
Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. What happens when you get to the back?
They're just like, great job. You did a great job. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Now let me go nurse this eyeball that I no longer have.
Yeah, and my eye hurt for, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 days before I could even, get the swelling to go down and stuff, get the red out of my eye. It was great, though. It was awesome.
I love that. I love the fact whenever I hear stories and it's like, I had this done to me and this much pain and it was fantastic. And I couldn't wait to get back in and get some more.
Yep, for sure.
Oh my God. All right. So that experience though, that left a mark on you, literally.
Yeah.
But you were like, I still want to do this. Like, I want more of that. Like, was there an adrenaline rush that you got from that when you got to the back? You're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I always get the adrenaline rush with just going out there.
Yeah.
The people often will give me one before I even do any activity. And so I didn't notice most of this. I noticed a poke in the eye because my eye automatically shut on his finger, basically.
Right.
But it wasn't anything major. But I didn't feel the pain until, like, everything was done, and then the adrenaline goes away, and it's like, oh, wait, my side hurts. Oh, my God. I think I'm swelling here. It was fine in the moment. It's always great.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. So take me from 2009 then to 2015 when you said it finally clicked for you.
So I had started gaining a little momentum, and I broke out of that $50 payday.
Woo!
Finally made it to 3 digits at one point or another. But
$100.
Believe me when I say making it to 3 digits gets you less work.
Oh, that's true because they want to just book the guys that are cheaper.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I started working less in wrestling and working more until eventually, so in my little travels, I got injured a little after. So the Performance Center opened up in 2013.
Right.
And I was at the first tryout for it. Mm-hmm. This was my 3rd tryout. And
I was going to say, because I had heard that the previous 2, they had given you a no. And now in this 3rd tryout, you get another no?
Correct.
Wow.
And at this point, I was pretty sure that I just made a mistake in life and needed to move on. But a talk with Regal, Dusty Rhodes, Jim Ross kind of kept me afloat and lit a fire under my buns, if you will.
What did they tell you, Keith? Because there's a lot of people that have received no's, and that's it. They stop right then and there. So something had to be said to you that kept you going.
So, 2008 or 11, maybe my second tryout. One of those tryouts, I spent a lot of time with Dusty Rhodes, and he had told me how terrible I was at speaking. From my posture to my confidence, my projection, all those things were horrible. And in this tryout, he essentially let me know exactly how much I had improved and how my presence was completely different from anything he had seen from me previously. And this is exactly where Bask in My Glory was created, because he said that I have a presence that he could literally bask in. Now, imagine him being the one saying that with his manner of speech and not laughing when he says bask. It's something that meant a lot to me because it was my own personal growth. William Regal has always been kind of an advocate for me, always believed in what I'm capable of and what I bring to the table. And he just reaffirmed that afterward. And Jim Ross told me 100% that he believes I am a $1 million talent. And he said it's not up to him, unfortunately. Hopefully somebody will see the light one day. And those were all the things that were said. And Jim Ross probably won't even remember ever saying that to me. But
wow.
All those things they meant a lot to me and kind of motivated and inspired me and made me rethink things. Now, fast forward a few days and I go back to work, of course, because I need to live.
Right.
And I was doing inventory for a company in San Antonio, and some of their machinery was down, and I am obviously slightly abnormally strong.
Right.
And so there are these basically air conditioning units that you guys would use forklifts to move around. Forklifts were down, and so our situation was very slow. Not so smart guy decides to show off a little bit, and I'm moving the AC units myself until eventually there is a pop in my shoulder. And I can no longer hold my car keys. I can't hold anything.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so close to needing surgery. And fortunately, they believed it would heal over time. So, all that being said, that injury took me out for a while.
Yeah, how long? Do you remember?
About 10 months.
Jeez, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Because I wasn't sure what to do about it, or how to approach the circumstances, as it were. Eventually, I returned, and I met one, as people would know him now, Eric, from the War Raiders. Viking Raiders, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I ended up having a match with him in Houston, Texas. And after that match, he told me I need to meet some people. At that time, he was working for Ring of Honor. And I came, I showed up, and at this time, my return, I was showing up to every show in a suit and shaking hands and whatever else, because it had been a while since I had been around, and, people are going to wonder.
Yeah.
What's Keith capable of now? I meet these people, and I hear nothing and nothing and nothing. And then months later, they asked me if I would come to a little loop that they were doing in the Texas-Oklahoma area. And I said, sure. And Mr. Eric was kind enough to ride with me and his buddy, a guy by the name of Shane Taylor, I used to tag with at Ring of Honor. And it's just a car full of big brothers just weighing it down.
Yeah.
And that ended up being where we started tagging, me and Shane Taylor. And we just started wreaking havoc all over the place.
Wow.
Take that and move forward. And then we are tagging, but I'm also doing singles work on my own. And then eventually I took a shot and I went to the East Coast. And this was after wrestling a couple of very important gents that gave me some sound advice. One's name was Brian Cage.
Yeah.
And he said, I need to go to the East Coast. And he pointed out a place called Beyond Wrestling. And I was unsure because I had no knowledge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Months later, I wrestle Samoa Joe.
Oh, wow.
Right before he comes in the WWE.
Oh, wow.
And when I tell you, it's the most nervous I have ever been.
Really?
In my career. Because he was a dream match for me. And I wanted to do everything for the 100 people that were there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't bring myself to do it because I know this guy's coming in the WWE. He needs to be healthy, right? So.
Oh, so you were really scared that you could take it where you guys could get hurt or he could get hurt?
Well, not necessarily that I would hurt him. It's just that I didn't want to push him further than he wanted to be pushed.
Okay.
Because this is his Olay. I'm off to the big leagues.
Right.
But after that match, we had a very long talk, and he sat and chatted with me and gave me so much knowledge. And it's almost been like a mentor for me since then.
Wow. I love him. I had him on the show. He's such a great guy. His story is so incredible and just his heart of gold, but his work ethic from the background that he's had working with his family and, you know, the father, the whole thing. I was like, well, no wonder you are who you are and do what you do. Yeah. So that's amazing. I love that he's mentoring you. I think it's great.
Yeah, he's excellent and super intelligent. And so he's the one that said, I don't know why you're here. You need to get out of Texas. And then eventually I took a shot, went to the East Coast, and I went specifically to Beyond Wrestling. And that's where match number 1 with Dominik Dijakovic happened. And when I tell you that one match in 48 hours completely transformed my career.
Wow.
And within 4 months, I had quadrupled the money that I was making per event.
You know what, though? Kudos for you that you listen, that you took advice, especially from somebody that was a veteran at that point, right? With Samoa Joe, because some people can hear that kind of advice and go, I don't know, or doubt, or, well, there's no way I can do that. That's all the way in the East Coast. And you made it happen.
It was very strategic. Everything from that specific event to from there on out, the opponents that I would face to the types of matches that I would have, everything was about taking each opportunity and trying to prosper on each one and make more and more and more and continue to grow. Growth and progress was my entire MO.
This is Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
All right, guys, we're going to get right back to the show, but I want to first tell you about something that is so important. Okay, let's talk about this pandemic because a lot of us are still in quarantine, but there's some people that are going to be out there. Overall, the number one thing that has been spoken about is about health. And COVID-19 has shown that it has really taken the lives of a lot of people that have had other underlying conditions, which means health is the number one thing you have got to control. The great thing is, it is the number one thing that you can control. And when I was looking for someone in the fitness world that I really believed in, I found RP Strength. I checked out their Instagram, which is just RP Strength, and it was phenomenal and incredible, the before and after pictures that I was finding. So I wanted to bring that to you, and they love the mission of Chasing Glory, so they wanted to partner. It's a win-win situation, and now we want to create a win-win for you. Guys, seriously, it's not just going to make you look good, it's going to make you feel good. Let me just tell you, very simply, go to rpstrength.com. Normally, their at-home workouts are $99, but right now, if you use the promo code Lilian20, and on top of the sale that they're already having, it comes down to $31 for all the templates. They have male, they have female templates, so you guys are both covered. It is so easy. It is great. You can do it in your balcony. You can do it in your living room. Sometimes I'll even put on a Netflix show while I'm working out. It's anything to get it in and have fun while you're doing it. And also at rpstrength.com, you can get the diet app. You can get one-on-one coaching. I'm telling you, everything is there. Everything you need to take control and put health number one and make it fun at the same time. All right, so just go to rpstrength.com, promo code Lilian20, Lilian 20. Take control right now. All right, back to the show.
Now, more Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Well, tell me something. How does a guy like you, your size, how are you able to do the moves that you do? I mean, you're somebody that can make yourself look and feel like heavy and then light on your feet doing these flips. I'm like, what the heck is going on right now?
So this is actually a great place to answer this question because I get this question almost every day.
I bet.
Multiple times a day. So for those that wonder, I hope that you take the time to listen to Ms. Garcia's show here. And here is your answer. The fact of the matter is, an athlete trains like an athlete. And I know that sounds very simple. However, the way that your body moves is then something that you can take and make an exponential growth on. So if you are making yourself leap, and you're making yourself sprint, and you're making yourself run bleachers, and you're doing athletic movements like burpees and lunges and squat jumps, all of these things really require core power and legs. And then after that, it's all about training. So training style needs to be athletic. And for me, as a guy that's played football for a very long time, that's all agility, especially as a defensive lineman, because my ankles are not great because I've been in the trenches and had guys roll them up every game nearly.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the style of training means more than what you know. And I know some people out there think, oh, Keith Lee, he's just a fat guy. But if you stand next to me and you take your shirt off and I take my shirt off, the chances are I have more abs showing than you because of the style of training and intensity that I have obtained and I used. So there's more to it than just the size. You have to have the muscle capacity and the intense training to supplement that. And so for me, that's what it's all been.
Wow. I mean, it kind of reminds me a bit about like Kevin Owens. You know, I had Kevin Owens on the show and he was talking about the fact that he doesn't ever see himself being a really thin kind of guy. He's like, I've tried, it's just my metabolism or whatever. He goes, but I can move, and he can. It reminds me, he's excellent. And it reminds me a lot, you know, with you and all the moves too, that this explanation is everything. You're right. Agility, working out, all of these things will make you being able to do things like that. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So let me ask you something about your dad. Now that you are a wrestler, you're a champion, you're doing so well at NXT, you've had your first movie. Has your dad now seen the success of you choosing this profession?
So he and I made amends years ago.
Great.
Once he realized he couldn't change my mind, and after I came back from Houston, things were mostly okay, right? He still didn't understand. But there were times he would come to events and be supportive, right?
Yeah.
And he would say, I don't know why you do this to your body. I'm like, the same reason I would do it to my body for football, right? It's different. But the moment that I started traveling this globe and I was being requested in Europe, from the UK to Italy to Spain to Ireland to Scotland to Canada to Mexico, all over the United States, he had a completely different view. He started asking different questions because now he had an understanding that I have a business mind for this, and that's everything I was doing was strategy, ways to keep myself in demand and ways to be unique and different and keep myself at the top. That's what I believe in. I believe I am the top, the cream of the crop, as Mr. Macho Man would say.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be the cream that would rise to the top at all times. And once he realized, wow, my son's making a living comfortably being a professional wrestler on the independents. Let's talk about this. I need to understand your mind so I get a better understanding of this business. And so we've had several talks where I've educated him, and he's gained a completely different interest for this now.
Wow. Dude, I love that. I love this story because it is showing that it is all communication, and that somebody that has just one thought process is closing themselves off so much. And the fact that your dad has opened up and been like, you know what? You're traveling the world. Like, this is amazing. And him seeing it as a business and you guys communicating in a different way. I love that. Now, when you were trying though, all of these years, I am sure that some self-doubt was probably yelling in your ear. Yes? No?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
And so as I said earlier, after the third tryout, I was all but ready to hang my boots up. Before then, I had plenty. To the point where before my second tryout, I wasn't even ready for that tryout by any stretch of the imagination, because I had stopped and went and played semi and arena football because I thought maybe I can go back.
Oh.
So
okay.
I spent 2 years playing football until WWE called again and said, hey, there's a tryout opportunity and we hadn't seen you busy much. We'd like to see what you're doing. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, sure.
Oh my God, you're like, I'm playing arena football right now. Oops.
How can I tell you no?
Right.
What do I look like? It's like, I haven't been training for ring shape. How can I approach this? No, I'll be there. No problem. And it was only a few weeks away. There was no way to be ready because I had a game the 2 weeks following that I had to prepare for.
Yeah.
And so I was not prepared. I wasn't shocked when I got a no on that tryout, but I was still able to show up and show what I could do, because a lot of things that I am capable of doing, there are guys half my size that can't do.
Right.
So there's still the ability to stand out, but it's not at it's not like being prepared.
Yeah. But man, do you think if they wouldn't have called you for that second tryout, your life would look different?
Yeah, because I was actually looking at potentially playing in the Canadian Football League. And like those moments of doubt were everything. And I was like, I still got it. I got bursts of explosion. I got plenty of power. I have acceleration. I can still play football. But when that call happened and I went and did it, and I was like, I can't step away from this. I can't.
Wow.
It's so there's every time I think like I got to go do something else. This isn't working for me.
Yeah.
Something else would happen that would bring me right back.
It was meant to be. Dude,
So
I mean, it seems it's meant to be. And now you're just in such a great position of all of these quests that you've gone through and the ups and the downs. That's what also makes a leader. You can be that role for like what Samoa Joe's been for you. You can turn around and do that to somebody else too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's my goal for sure. Something that the guy that trained me, his name is Killer Tim Brooks. And one of the most important things he taught me was the way of the wrestler is to learn and to teach. And so now that I've done a lot of learning, then I do my best to teach to those with no experience or people that just don't know, and try and share.
You know, this is one of the reasons I love doing Chasing Glory, especially for wrestlers that from the NXT. And the reason is because a lot of people don't know you guys as much as they would somebody now on Raw and SmackDown, right? Sure. But they don't realize, like, you might not be on Raw or SmackDown, but by the time you're at NXT, you've done a lot. Is it something that you want to see yourself on Raw and SmackDown one day, or what is NXT meaning to you?
So I love NXT because there's a lot of gents there that I have either traveled this world with or I have shared locker rooms with. However, in the grand scheme of things, I know that a lot of the fans are interested in seeing Keith Lee mix it up with some of the guys on Raw and SmackDown. And I think at the end of the day, I am a competitor. So I want to go where the competition is. And it doesn't matter which brand it is to me. If they can come to NXT, I'll stay in NXT. But if they want me on Raw or SmackDown, I will show up and I will make a statement just like I do anywhere else I go.
Yeah.
Wherever the opportunity is. And
what I love about the fact that you're being at NXT is the fact that you've gotten to meet Mia Yim.
Indeed.
Pretty cool. Oh, come on. It's pretty neat. You know, it's so funny because when I was there, there wasn't that, maybe it just wasn't public, that people would date a lot. And when they would start dating, it was kind of a little bit of frowned upon. And now the women and the men are dating like crazy and they're even married. And then I go, well, hello, you guys are traveling 300 plus dates a year. Of course it's going to happen. You're around each other so much. And it is hard to be traveling the world and then not seeing your significant other. How much has it meant to you to be in a relationship with someone that's there, that you guys get to really do this journey together?
So actually, I met her before ever coming to NXT.
Oh, really?
And to be fair, she had no idea who I was.
Okay.
Because the first time I ever met her was in 2014, I believe. And it was an independent show in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And I didn't speak a whole lot to her, but I thought she was brilliant. Just her presence and the way she carried herself.
Mm-hmm. Was it sparks at first sight?
I don't know about that, but I certainly had an interest. But I never reached for that because I was involved in something else on my own as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little before I actually signed, because I didn't know I was coming to WWE until later, but we had actually started talking, was it Mania maybe it was WrestleMania that was in Orlando.
Okay.
And she was just coming back from an injury. And I had heard from somebody else. I hadn't actually spoken to her because I had no way to contact her. We started talking then and we started hanging out and it became something more than that at that time. So her and I connected well before NXT. NXT just made it that much sweeter.
Yeah. Well, you know, Mia, her story here on Chasing Glory was something else. She's had her own journey, her own struggles, as you know.
Brimming with strength now.
What's that?
She is now brimming with strength.
Yeah, well, it says a lot about who she's with as well. And I'm just so happy, especially hearing your story, getting to know you more. I really can tell that she's finally found a good guy to be in her corner, to share this life with. And I just want to say thank you because I know she's gone through a lot of abuse. And from another female, it just makes you even shine even bigger outside of just your wrestling. You as a human being able to treat her with so much respect and have that. and I know how much she really cares about you. Dude, that says a lot about you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that for me, because some know this, some don't, but at a very young age, I grew up in a very questionable area, and I've seen women not treated properly. And I think that for me personally, what I was surrounded by was something that shaped me. But you know how some people are just what they know. And I myself wanted to be anything but what I knew. So everything that I've seen inspired me to not be that. So my idea was to be the opposite of what I was surrounded by.
Got it. Well, like I said, I'm just glad. I'm glad that you guys have a great relationship. All right, so let me ask you this, because you spoke about Mick Foley. So, Mick, all right, so what is Mick Foley, like the fact that here you were in a match, or it wasn't directly with him, but he was there at the event?
So he was actually the referee of that match.
What? The referee of your match?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. Okay.
So he probably doesn't even remember doing this event. But we have had other connections since then, obviously. But I was in a handicap match defending tag team championships by myself.
Oh my God.
And so eventually I win this handicap match.
Uh-huh.
And I make the young, horrible mistake of disrespecting Mick Foley.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Oh, no, you didn't.
And while I celebrated by jokes and by banter, I then turned around and got Socko.
Oh my God. Have you guys ever spoken about this?
Yes.
Surprise!
Oh my goodness.
Did you say Mick Foley?
I did indeed say, I did.
Just like magic, Lilian Garcia makes it happen.
I love it. Okay, so Keith, you have to talk about this again. Mick, I was just asking him because he mentioned about you at this match that he had, and he just told me that you were actually refereeing the match.
Okay. Refresh my memory, Keith. Tell me about it.
So this was in 2008, San Antonio.
I remember that.
I was in a handicap match, and I beat these two guys, and I got in the microphone and poked fun at the wrong person. Turning around after I defended these tag team championships by myself, and then you sockled me, and I tasted marker for 4 days after that match.
Hey, yeah, well, like you said, you messed with the wrong guy there.
Big mistake.
Oh my God. I had to do this though, because when I saw your little piece and you talked about Mick Foley and how this happened years ago, and then I know that there was a tweet that Mick actually put out in 2018, and it was when he saw you against Dominic, and he was so impressed, and he wanted to let you know about that and tweeted it out, and then you responded, you're like, oh my God, this means more to me than you even know.
Yes.
So I wanted you guys to connect and be really able to talk about this. Like, dude, what does this mean right now to have him on?
So when it comes to Mick, and you probably have no idea, you may not remember that it was me back then, but you have touched me in different portions of my career, especially once me and Dijak connected, in so many different ways, and inspired me. So now that you're here, I can tell you, because I'm usually busy, thank you so very much.
I really I didn't do much. I just tell people, like, I call them like I see them. So when I saw you guys, now I'm getting my years confused too. I can't remember what year it was, because I know I put out a tweet when you were re-signed by NXT, but when I saw you and Dijak having the match, I think I was right at ringside. Maybe I was the enforcer or whatever, so I got to see everything up close. It's one of those baseball stadium shows.
Correct.
And then when I got the word, it's like, wait, so this guy's been in developmental and they let him go? Like, how do you let a guy like this go? So I you know, at that point, the odds are stacked against you coming back. And yet, you know, I was like, I'm not going to let it go without a little bit of a fight. So I just put out that, you know, hey, you know, put in the you know, the Twitter tags and saying both these guys should have a future with WWE. And thanks for making me look good and making that come to fruition.
Well, you're appreciated, my friend.
And now it's I who is basking in your glory.
Oh, no.
Oh, isn't that nice?
It's you awesome. Giving me the rub, Keith Lee.
No, never.
But you know, it just says something too. The two of you have such a unique wrestling style, and there has been a little bit of a comparison in a way where you both are bigger guys that can move in such an amazing way.
Well, I think Keith moves a little better than I did. You know, I mean, there's really something to be said. I mean, this is you know, Clint Eastwood said it in Magnum Force. A man's got to know his limitations. And I made a pretty good living by adhering to that and playing to my strengths, avoiding my weaknesses. The only time I have ever thrown a drop kick in a match, I did it in training, enough to know that I couldn't. And the only time I ever threw a drop kick was when I was a champion and I was going around the loop with The Rock, and that was the big cutoff spot. I would go for the drop kick and he would hold onto the ropes. I would be like this far off the ground. I would leave my feet. But, you know, that, yeah, there's the, you know, there was a look at a certain time that guys were supposed to have. And, you know, although you and I are built much differently than each other, neither one of us has that look that was supposed to be the one you needed to be successful. So if I played any part in, you know, making the world a little better place for, you know, the out-of-the-box big guy, I'm really happy about that.
Well, you are appreciated, my friend, in all aspects.
Hey, you know what I was just crossed my mind was, did you have a chance to see the Rumble? Did you have a chance to watch it back?
I have seen clips. I'm a little nervous.
I'm talking specifically about Brock Lesnar's reaction to you and how much it put you over just by the way he reacted. Have you seen it?
I did see that, and it's something extremely different and unexpected.
And I mean, it's like, I think he actually mouthed the words, who is this blank blank, if you read his lips. And what it said to anybody who was watching and who might not have known you was like, all right, maybe I don't know this guy, but I need to know this guy.
Yes.
Based on how Brock is reacting to him. And it just made me laugh to think of that. And I like, you know, like getting to a certain place where you become a marquee name it's an evolutionary process. Like there's no one thing that does it. Like you'll hear people say so-and-so made someone. It's a process. And I mean, like it's a little tiny piece to the puzzle, but man, I'm looking at the thing Brock did. It's like, obviously you've got to do all the hard work, but a moment like that certainly doesn't hurt in that process.
Not at all. He also has a brain I'd like to pick, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of brains, how do you enjoy working with my son at NXT?
Well, me and Masato were in a Texas promotion called VIP. That was an experience, to say the least.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal.
Hey, look, we're doing great. I want you to know Lilian would not, I mean, I didn't say no because I didn't want to do it. I'm like, Lilian, I've never used Zoom. And she wouldn't take no for an answer. And even like an hour before this thing, I'm like, Lilian, I'm sorry. It's not working for me. I'm so sorry. Like, you know, am I going to ruin the interview? And she really pushed me to do this thing.
Dude, because you know what? I know how special it is, I'm sure, for somebody like him to have this happen right now, somebody that he's watched, that you know, that match that you even talked about it, how that moment was so pivotal too, going to that event. I don't know. I just felt like it would be really fun to have the two of you connect. And you know what they say, you can't let an obstacle stand in your way. We got to just work through it.
That's right. Now Lilian has opened up the whole world of Zoom possibilities to me.
That's right.
Indeed. Well,
sure. Mick, I know that you're busy and we're going to go ahead and let you go, but I'm glad that you were able to get on your first Zoom call. Congratulations. We popped your cherry. Woo!
Whoa.
Thank you so very much. I'm happy that I could take part in the cherry popping and such.
Oh, man. I have nightmares about that. Oh, great. Not the way I imagined it, to tell you the truth.
It never is. It never is. All right, dude. Love you. Love you, Mick.
Bye.
All right. So I hope you were surprised by that.
Super surprised. Super duper surprised.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile. I love it.
That meant a ton. That meant a ton.
Good. Look, I want to apologize to anybody who heard all that feedback and all, but I mean, it was just too precious. We had to keep that in.
Worth it. Completely worth it.
You know what? You guys worked so hard to get to this point, and you've got much more to go, I'm sure. I'm so excited to see your continued chase for glory and all. But little moments like that, I think, are so valuable and important, and they stick with you. And then you go, you know what? All that hard work, man. Because talk about somebody who's been through it too is Mick Foley.
100%. I think that everybody that's made some sort of a name or became a legend have had a whole host of experiences that a lot of people don't know. And I myself am quite fond of sharing and educating people and maybe allowing somebody to learn something through my experiences, or offering a different way to approach the business as a whole, if I can.
What does it mean for you, for him to hear him, like, let me rephrase that. What does it mean for you to hear the reaction that he's had with you and your wrestling and your career?
It's strange every time because, you know, there was that event, and this was in Connecticut, I believe, that he's talking about, where he was ringside for me and Dijak's match. And each time, because after that match, he just gushed and gushed. And we weren't sure how to handle that. It's just like, whoa, this is Mick Foley telling us all these great things. And so now, I think recently, maybe even a few months ago, he was at the NXT TV. And each time, it doesn't matter when it is or how long it's been, anytime he comes, anyone actually, it could be him, it could be Mark Henry, it could be any of these guys that have inspired me or I have watched. And every time it's such a special, it's like it's an event for me, because it's something it's just hard to process. It's like, wow, here's this person that I have studied and I have watched and I have used as inspiration or motivation or whatever the case may be. And they're telling me about what they think of me in such a positive way. It's super touching.
But I'm sure that also gives you the fuel to keep going.
It does, 100%. It's the same thing as when the tryout happened, the third and last one. If it wasn't for the guys that uplifted me and Regal and Rhodes and JR, I don't know where I would have been.
When you finally got the yes, did it mean that much more because you'd gotten those 3 no's?
It was hard to, it was weird, I think is the word for me. A lot of things have been weird because I've gone from, yes, I have this following, yes, I have a lot of fans in different places of the world, but this is a completely different platform. And now things are stepped up another notch. And at first it was like, finally, they have seen the light. And show them the error of their ways. And then when I got there, it was like, oh my goodness, how do I handle this? How do I process this situation right now? I don't know.
Yeah, you could say it just becomes overwhelming, right?
And it was very much that, because now you're working alongside Triple H, you're working alongside Matt Bloom and Shawn Michaels, all these guys. It's just like, is it okay to be me? Can I cut loose? I don't know where I stand right now. And it took a while for me to kind of...
Yeah. What helped you when Dusty Rhodes said that you were so bad on your promos? What do you think was that turning point where now you're comfortable on the microphone?
So that moment in time was 2008, the first time he said it. 2011, he said, yeah, a tad better, but he hates listening to me. But it took confidence, and it took understanding, because for me, and this is information most people aren't going to know. This is stuff only my family and closest friends will know. As a youngling, I was bullied for my choice of diction. My verbiage, the way that I speak is very different. And it made me timid about that. So I thought if I gave them something that wasn't me would be best. But when it became a very much be you, be comfortable with who you are, that allowed me to open up. And it wasn't just Dusty Rhodes. I have two best friends. One, I mentioned earlier, is Lascelles. The other is a man who wrestles under the name Jerome Daniels on the Independents. Lives in Oklahoma right now. But I would travel with him from Dallas to San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Houston, Galveston, all these different places to wrestle. But that guy is a character in real life. Mm-hmm. And he's also got quite the voice. And those trips, bouncing things off of each other, singing songs together in harmony. Yeah, don't make fun of me for that. We really don't.
No, it's awesome. I'm not, for sure.
But chatting with that guy was something that allowed me to become comfortable with who I was. With others. Obviously, with him, it's fine because he's also another intelligent individual. But eventually, it got to the point where his level of comfort around others in speaking became something that helped me open up more.
Wow. What is it? I'm trying to think like what the heck you could be bullied for. In what way of diction? What do you mean, like clean diction?
Well, there's that, but it's the way that I deliver the things that I say, I think. The words that I choose to use when I speak, or maybe perhaps, I really don't know.
But can I just tell you, it's a blessing because it sets you apart. You do have a style about you. I saw it in the main event too. You have this style about you that is so freaking cool. That's what I would say. It comes off as being really cool. You're confident, but you're not cocky. And your heart shows. And I think that's what everybody's starting to really fall in love with is how much all of that's like you're badass, you're cool, you're suave, you got a heart of gold, you're fun, you're entertaining. All these things are meshing. And man, it's awesome. And I always end my podcast, I say, remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. And I'm really glad that you're trusting that it's enough.
Yeah. I have a lot of that is when it comes, I've generally been a confident individual throughout life, but when it comes to the people that really helped me reach a different level of confidence and comfort with self, it was Dusty Rhodes, it was William Regal, and it was Jerome Daniels Griffey. And so those three really took me to a different level mentally.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can't wait to see all the levels that are going to continue here. I love it. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations for everything that you've been doing. Just to wrap this up, I want to know how you're doing during quarantine. I know that you're getting ready to move.
Yeah, I'm sure you can see a little something back here. Got a washer and a dryer and a microwave and all sorts of stuff just ready. Yeah, I found a house that I really like here in Orlando. I'm hoping that it works out. I went and saw it. And the people were nice enough, showed up in a mask and gloves and allowed me to check everything out and wiped everything down when I was done. So they were really awesome, and I appreciate it.
Cool.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And are you doing okay during quarantine?
Doing my best. Outside of the things that are prepared for moving, there's also building a computer. I'm on the back end of it now, but
why are you doing that? Is that something you just love to do?
I've been building my own computer since 2007.
What? You little Bill Gates or something? What the hell's going on here?
I don't know if you know this, Mrs. Garcia.
That's okay.
I'm a nerd, so
I love it.
Programming, and I like having big sound systems, and I like video games and anime and all those things, but I like having a big monster rig to run any and everything that I want on it.
Whoa.
So that's the new project.
Badass. I love it. Well, congratulations. Good luck with that. All right. So as we wrap this up, because I could talk to you for hours, dude, but we'll have you back on later on as your chase for glory continues. I want to ask you, you being that 5-year-old little kid or as young as you can remember, looking at your life, has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look?
I don't think that it has. And I think that that's also a blessing. Even from the point of not getting signed right away, I have learned so much professionally and business-wise, running my own company. All these things have caused a growth in me that I think has properly prepped me for what I'm dealing with now, in terms of working with WWE and making the most of it. So while it's not what I envisioned, it is what it needs to be.
I love that. Great lesson, because a lot of times people get so frustrated at the first no, and it's really honing your craft, continuing to somehow believe in yourself and just keep going, and knowing that in the end, you know, hearing Drew McIntyre's story, same thing. He's been the highs and lows. Here he was winning the championship at WrestleMania with no audience. I am sure. And he said it. I did not envision it that way, but he now sees a blessing in it. And I love that you're seeing the blessings in your nose as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, like I said, continued success to you. Congratulations. Just, I love the heart that you have and the passion that you have, and best of luck to you. Tell everybody how to find you on social media so that they can follow your journey.
Oh, fortunately, I am quite streamlined. You guys can find me on both Instagram and Twitter with the handle Real Keith Lee all together, and also I before E. Don't make that mistake.
There we go. All right, dude. Thank you so much.
This is Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss a single video or live stream. And definitely share this with a friend. All right, follow the show at Chasing Glory on Instagram, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. For everything Chasing Glory, just go to chasingglory.com. Until next week, go out there and live with much peace, love, and passion. And remember, always be yourself and trust that it's enough. Mwah. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia.